Stupid manager destroys my life, so I got her SS fired. Some years ago I started working for a heavy industrial manufacturing company. I lucked out and got a great supervisor for a boss, Joe. The work was hard, working 12-hour days for 13 days in a row and then a Sunday off, then back for another 13 days. I was young and didn't mind. It helped my wife and I save up for a house. After about 6 months, Joe noticed I was picking up on the work pretty fast and promoted me to a group leader position. This came with a raise and increased responsibility that most other workers didn't want. Joe would put me in trouble groups in his department and I would work on general improvements and figuring out the issues. This was a union shop and the mentality was to just put in your hours. Don't work harder or smarter, just do your time and don't kill the job was the unspoken motto. After a few years, Joe was promoted to a manager and he transferred me with him to his departments. While I wasn't a supervisor yet, I was the supervisor in all but name. The supervisors loved it because they never had to leave the office and I liked it because it was a good learning experience. I made a good reputation and got a lot of respect from workers and from management. Eventually Joe's areas were doing so well he was promoted to plant manager. As before, he wanted to promote me with him, this time to a supervisor spot. We talked at length because the only supervisor spot open was working for Karen. Karen was also a freshly minted manager and Joe was not confident in her abilities, but me being the plucky go-getter with a can-do attitude decided to take the position. I had to interview with Karen and got to meet some of her supervisors. They were very quiet and reserved. Once I was promoted, I worked in tandem with another supervisor, Chris. Chris was young, had one small child and his wife was pregnant and a stay-at-home mom. During the first week everything was going well. I was learning all the employees, getting to know the process, and getting my feeling for the area. During the second week Chris's wife went into labor and she had a hard time. Chris went on paternity leave for 6 weeks and I was tossed into the deep end in charge of the whole area solo, with 60 employees. I was barely treading water but I was doing my best. When I would ask Karen for guidance or assistance she would scoff like it was beneath her and tell me if I have to do your job then I don't need you. So I gritted my teeth and worked my tail off. My wife got me a smartwatch and I was averaging 25,000 steps a day trying to keep everything running. We were holding our own and employees all did what they could to help as the station was not ideal for everyone. A few weeks and I was reviewing some quality documents and I noticed that one of the quality gates was not being followed. I emailed the info to the quality engineers and they lost their minds. This was a 4-hour operation on a 20-hour part that we were skipping entirely. Turns out one of the reasons Karen got promoted was because she was running her department so efficiently. Then it came to light that she made the decision to skip this quality process, saving that 20% of time. Except the engineers never signed off on this and it caused massive damage control. The process had to be reinstated and the parts that were never checked had to have warranty extensions. This caused the company to have egg on their face and Karen to look bad. During this time Karen also became more vindictive. She would openly tell people she would never be fired and could do what she wanted. She would walk the departments and if she didn't like someone she would make the supervisors write them up by the end of the day. She wanted us to find a reason and if we didn't she would take it out on the supervisors. For example, forcing the supervisors to stay late to do inventory or something else menial just because she could. She would not let the supervisors make any decisions until she approved, so something like overtime had to wait for her approval and she would not respond until the end of the day, causing the departments to scramble. Then if there weren't enough overtime employees to do the work she would blame it on the supervisors. While the supervisors knew this wasn't right, we all needed our job and tried to do the best we could for Karen and the employees. We were mainly rodeo clowns to Karen being the bull.